Hi guys, welcome back to A Channel. Today we're talking about movies, more specifically Canadian movies, and whether they can or not compete against the Hollywood counterparts in Hollywood. And it's quite utterly appropriate that we talk about films right now, considering that Ebert passed away last week, whom I hold in high regards because I pretty much grew up with Siskel and Ebert in the early mid-90s, watching their show at the movies. I'm going to say something controversial. I'm not a big fan of Canadian films. Don't get me wrong. I'm pretty sure there's fantastic films out there, but the route that Canadian films have gone over the last, I don't know, 30, 40 years, they really can't compete with the big budget Hollywood films. Canada simply doesn't have the budget to hire these big name actors to film in these exotic locations and have the dollars on hand to have the special effects created for these type of movies. I mean, I joked before that when you turn it on to television set anywhere in Canada, you can already tell which channel it's on. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's just not me. I mean, CBC doesn't have that high quality look as opposed to what the American channels have. I mean, when I envision CBC, I almost imagine turning on the TV and then having like a lake and a cabin in a forest setting in the background. Which is kind of cliche for the whole Canadian film industry. I mean, do the films in Canada look like that because we're perpetuated as that stereotype? Or because of our limited budget, we have to like film with what we got? I mean, a lot of the Canadian films that I see, they aren't these big action, big budget type films. I mean, they're more like slice of life. Sarah Polley's films, for example, I mean, two of her memorable films that I love watching was Take This Waltz and Away From Her. Both focus on a slice of Canadian life about a couple falling apart, and the other movie being an older couple falling apart, but for all other reasons. And from what I find, the Canadian dramas tend to be very, very depressing. I mean, I'm not sure if the influences came from like a Margaret Atwood type book, but one of the top Canadian films in the late 90s was Last Night, which dealt with Canadians and how they would have handled the end of the world. Not so much cracking each other's skulls open, but fully accepting it and making the most out of the last few days. I mean, even when it comes down to Canadian comedies, I mean, there are very few of them that I actually enjoy. Actually, I only enjoy one. If you ever get a chance, get Dave Foley's The Wrong Guy. That is a fantastic film. The biggest theme I hear people talk about when they discuss Canadian comedies is that it's very dry humor. I mean, it's not like bam, in your face type humor. But those are my thoughts on an audience perspective of how I feel Canadian films really can't compete. But there might be more elements that I'm missing here, films that I haven't seen, funding from the Canadian government that I don't know of, which could actually better improve these films. I mean, prove me wrong, guys. Prove me wrong.